And this, as the number of illegal migrants crossing the border increases at an alarming rate, so does the potential for drugs to make their way into the U.S. The DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, now warning that fentanyl is killing Americans at an unprecedented rate. Already this year, numerous mass overdose events have resulted in dozens of overdoses and deaths. Drug traffickers are driving addiction and increasing their profits by mixing fentanyl with other illicit drugs. Tragically, many overdose victims have no idea they're ingesting deadly fentanyl until it's too late. Joining us now to discuss is West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey. AG, thanks for coming on today. That is a very powerful statement and powerful warning from the DEA. What do you take away from that?
Well, I think that's incredibly accurate because fentanyl has been just so destructive in West Virginia, and it's destructive because they're getting the raw ingredient shipped from China to the Mexican drug cartels. Those drug cartels are packaging the product up, and then it flows eventually into the U.S., getting into the heartlands, and our state's been devastated by fentanyl. It's interesting because there's been so little attention by the Biden administration on the fentanyl problem and the border concerns, and now you're starting to see just an absolute explosion in new fentanyl cases in West Virginia and across the country. So I'm glad to see the DEA really focus on this. I think a lot more needs to be done. I've called for the firing of the Homeland Security Secretary because he's been an unmitigated disaster. But it's a long past time that the Biden administration makes this a real priority.
West Virginia, as we know, it's not a border state. But as you point out, there's an epidemic there, an opioid one, 3 times the national average. 96,000 people have died from drug overdoses each year. Opioids are a factor. 7 out of every 10 overdose deaths, nearly 1 million people have died from overdose deaths since 1999. So we've got those stats for you on your screen. AG, what needs to be done right now, considering the White House is going to lift Title 42? Is now the time to do that?
No, of course it's not the time to do it. I mean, these guys seem to want to do anything other than secure our borders. And we see the problem manifest not only in terms of the raw number of people coming across every single day, but in human trafficking. When I was down at the border, down in McAllen and along the Rio Grande just a couple months ago, we were learning that the drug cartels are making $100 million a week in human trafficking smuggling. Then you look at the volume of fentanyl flooding in. These guys have been doing everything wrong in this area for the last year, and many people are dying as a result. But there are other factors that we need to look at as well. As many people know, West Virginia right now is in the middle of a trial against some of the makers of the supposedly legal opioids. And those have been particularly challenging because our lawsuit alleges that there's been misleading marketing and omissions and failure of these companies to meet their duty and pushing concepts known as pseudo-addiction. So what happens is a lot of people come in through the gateway of these legal pain pill products, and then many of those people then go on to fentanyl or to heroin and other products. So this is a complicated mess, but we do know that the Biden administration has not been helping at all along the border, but there's a lot that needs to be done. I think the DEA comment you read, Ann Milgram has done some good things. She's serious. I wish that Mayorkas was remotely as serious as Milgram.
When you talk about these lawsuits, specifically one against Johnson & Johnson, you've described the drug maker as causing a tsunami of addiction. Yeah. Tell me about the people who are really behind these lawsuits, who are bringing these lawsuits forward. Are these families who've lost loved ones to these addictions?
Well, at the opening that I delivered on Monday, I talked about the 10,054 people in West Virginia who have died from drug overdoses. That's from 1999 to 2019. That's just an amazing amount of people. It touches every part of our state. And so we focused in on the folks that were making these so-called legal pain pills and showing their marketing practices and how they failed to meet their duty under West Virginia laws. And I think that a lot of people believe that West Virginia was kind of an easy prey. And obviously West Virginia has been ground zero for the opioid epidemic. But what happened is over a prolonged period of time, these marketing practices grew the total share, the number of people addicted. I'm speaking for all the people in our state who are negatively affected by this terrible, terrible epidemic.
Yeah, and they need their voices heard, indeed. Attorney General Patrick Morrisey joining us this morning. Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let's bring in our